Hello, everyone. My name is Grandmaster Josh Trowbridge with World Model Tongue Fiddle Federation. Today, we're going to continue our video series dissecting some of our basic techniques and creating a little bit of discussion on those nuances and the little pieces we really don't either see or bring up, or it usually gets into our higher ranks and we kind of lose those discussions with each other. We get a little stuck in our ways. Today, I want to bring up our chambering more than the techniques themselves. We'll touch on the techniques, but I want to bring up within the tongue fiddle system our inside block and our high block. So I want to touch on our transitioning movements, that those hidden pieces within our technique. The way I teach it is, so on our transitions, say if we're going to go from our inside block or our high block is the exact same transition. If I'm here, as we move forward, it's that transition in between to move. If it's going to the high block, same transition to move up. So that piece, I think, gets lost in the way. And as I touched on last time, you're going to have an overemphasized movement on beginners. So I really try to make it big. But there's the hidden piece that is the reason I teach it. So say if I'm going to go forward, if we're doing a high block, if we're doing an inside block, we want to create the hip swing. We want to create the body movement with our beginners. So I really show this twist up. But even in advanced movement, it's still pretty close to the same. I just stay slightly more forward as I do it. Reason being is that hidden technique between our advancement. It could be one of those things that we're either very close and we need to create distance. Maybe my back is against the wall and I'm trying to get distance to go forward. But it also could be a two-piece move. So I could be here and maybe I have a second person. Maybe there's another piece that happened right before what I'm going to do my actual block for. So this movement could actually be a block. So this in itself, I could be blocking, taking the head or taking whatever's going to happen and then move forward, go forward. Or maybe it's an attack before the block. So my transitioning down hand, this could be a low punch. So as I move forward, strike, block, strike, block. So those pieces, not that people don't know they're there, but they tend to get overlooked. So that's something we're not going to bring in at white belt. We're not going to bring up at ninth, maybe even eighth cup. But by the time you hit fifth cup, fourth cup, especially going into black belt, those are pieces that are good to bring up. It makes you think outside the box, but also breaks down our movement and has purpose. I'm not just stepping to move, stepping to move. We want a purpose with everything we do, minimizing energy, maximizing efficiency. So again, if I'm here, if we're going to do that, maybe high block again, we're here, movement, movement. We're movement, movement. It's about direct, but it's also, it gets that tight swing. If I'm here and I need this movement to, basically my elbow is going to stay the same spot and rotate. It's a lot more powerful, direct, and less wasteful than the big swing. And you're not telegraphing. It's quick. The reaction time to the eye is not going to be the same. Your depth perception is not going to be the same. If I have all of this movement, it's very easy to see coming. From here to here is not. And we can even get into their self-defense aspects to it. As we move forward, there's the grabs. So you can actually do it as a breakaway on your inside block. There's a lot of different application to it. I think some of it gets lost. Either people get bored or it's moving on to the next, to the next, to the next. Everybody's so worried about just knowing the requirement base. They don't know the application requirement itself. And us as black belts, and especially as you get into master or grandmaster ranks, that should be the fuel, taking the most basic movement with the most advanced applications. There should be a gamut of things that you learn in that one technique. Think about where you are at white belt, and even 2 years later, should be a massive difference between those two. So if anybody else has transitions, applications, theory, just those two is what we're going to stay within the video. There's some people I know that have as many applications as I do, if not more. I can see some of these threads being 15, 20, 30 different variations, which never is a bad thing. Biggest part is, does that application fit the theory behind it? That's all that really matters. Nothing is wrong and everything is right as long as it works in application. So that's the big part I want to start to branch out. I know every school has different ways of doing things. Every organization has different ways of doing things. Let's bring them together and share, because what works for you, I may not have thought of. What hasn't worked for me in the past still might work for you. So that's why I said, it's the old Bruce Lee theory of, absorb what is useful and discard what's useless to yourself. But we should still, as instructors, know all those different applications, because we may have a student that it works best for. It could be because of size, physical ability, a gamut of different things. So that's some of the stuff that I want to start touching on. And I've been developing a few programs within the World Model Tongue Sado Federation that we're going to expand on that. And it's going to be, as we get into maybe physical disabilities and some other stuff, that ways of bridging that gap. We want everybody to be able to share in what we learned. So again, my name is Grandmaster Josh Trowbridge with World Model Tongue Sado Federation. I hope everybody joins in, drop a comment, drop a video. Keep it positive. There is, like I said, there is no right, there's no wrong. It just is what is useful to yourself. Share what you learned. Okay, hope that see everybody again soon.